all these stories has been around the industry for a long time. All these industry people know that Diddy been acting like this and doing this and try to engage other men into sexual acts with him. There was story that he was trying to get Chris Brown. There's stories about, those young boys that he had, a group, B5 or something like that, trying to get them.
48 hours. Right now, he's having 48 hours with Diddy, him and his boy. They're having the times of their lives, like where we hanging out and what we doing. We can't really disclose, but
Y'all, things are going from bad to worse for Diddy because his former bodyguard just came out to expose him yet again for hurting and allegedly essaying young boys, including Usher and Justin Bieber. Gene has a whole lot to say on this issue, and y'all are not gonna believe the evidence that he has brought because it is just insane. Y'all, Diddy is going down, 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 and he is going down hard.
It was curious. I got a chance to see some things.
Yeah, but you were 13. What were you seeing?
I went there to see the lifestyle,
right?
And I saw it, and it was, but I don't know if I could indulge and understand what I was even looking at. It was pretty wild.
Y'all, so it looks like things are getting worse and worse for Diddy. And at this point, he just might as well keep his lawyers on a permanent retainer because at the rate that these people are coming out to expose him, he's gonna need it. I just know his lawyers are going to be making millions upon millions of dollars off of this scandal alone. Now, the reason it's getting worse is because his former bodyguard Gene is back at it again and is now coming up with more accusations of how Diddy allegedly essayed multiple young boys in Hollywood. Now, Gene is no stranger to exposing Diddy because he has been doing it for years. But then those were just juicy stories of how Diddy was on the DL and how he used to have sex parties with several top Hollywood artists. But this time it is more sinister because Gene is now revealing that Diddy used to have things with minor boys as well. Now, like I said, these rumors aren't exactly new because there has been talk for years about how Diddy allegedly groomed Usher and Justin Bieber when they were kids under his mentorship. In fact, federal investigators had sufficient reason to believe this because they investigated him back in 2013. At the time, there were reports that Diddy was being investigated by federal agencies for allegedly sleeping with young boys. According to reports, during a debriefing session with federal investigators, James Rosemond, the music manager turned kingpin, was reportedly questioned about the sexual preferences of entertainers, including whether Sean Diddy Combs was having intimate relationships with underage boys, according to a U.S. District Court filing. A prosecutor then asked about entertainers' intimate preferences, including but not only Sean Combs having intimate relationships with underage boys. Now, for those of you who don't know who James Rosemond is or who Jimmy Henchman is, he used to be at the top of the music execs, but then he got hit with a long list of charges that got him life imprisonment. I'm talking murder for hire, money laundering, drug trafficking, and a bunch of more sketchy stuff like that. I mean, he's practically got a PhD in the shady sides of Hollywood. Now, here's the juicy part. Jimmy, with all his dark knowledge, got questioned by federal investigators about Diddy's intimate involvement with minor boys. And if there's one thing you gotta know about these federal prosecutor guys, is that they don't mess around, especially when it comes to these serious crimes. Now, these feds weren't questioning him because of what they saw on headlines on the news or anything like that. They probably had some serious dirt or credible reasons to believe that Diddy was knee-deep in some shady business with young boys. The feds don't just knock on your door for casual chat. They've usually got the goods if they're at your door, and they're definitely hunting for them. So the rumors were around at the time, and a couple of people in the industry even came out to talk about it. One such person was Orlando Brown, who claimed that Diddy allegedly gave him some mouth action when he was just a teenager.
Yo, Diddy, you gave me the ooshka smash. You gave me the ooshka smuaf, the smash. Diddy. Yeah, son. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? You gave me the ooshka smuash. I love it, yo.
But he wasn't the only one, because the same thing allegedly happened to Usher and Justin Bieber. These two got into the industry really early, and word on the streets is they might have been on the wrong end of Diddy's behavior. Things got weird about 14 years back when Diddy and Bieber did this thing called 48 Hours with Diddy. They spent about 2 days alone, and it raised some eyebrows. Now, Diddy's track record with young guys isn't exactly sparkling, so fans were understandably weirded out. But hold on, that wasn't even the part that had everybody really freaked out. You see, Diddy said some things in the video that got people wondering if he had some ulterior motives. One of the first things he did was just to promise Justin a Ferrari for his 16th birthday.
As soon as you turn 16, you know what I'm saying, I'm gonna let you rock this every time you LA. Yeah, this gonna be yours.
Now, before we get past that, he jumped right into promising to give Justin a mansion for his 18th birthday.
And then, when you get 18, you get the house. You get the mansion.
Okay, I get the mansion.
Yeah, this was kind of suspicious, but then it got worse because he said this.
48 hours. Right now, he's having 48 hours with Diddy, him and his boy. They're having the times of their lives, like, you know, where we hanging out and what we doing. We can't really disclose.
Yeah, y'all, this was just all shades of weird because it was just a major red flag. According to the grapevine, it's just as grim as we feared. Allegedly, Diddy had Justin Bieber doing things he wasn't exactly happy about, and I'll let your imagination fill in the blanks on that one. Now, here's the kicker. Justin was a 15-year-old. Diddy was a full-fledged adult in his 40s. Justin was basically a rookie in the industry, and it fits the alleged Diddy playbook because he seems to have a thing for targeting newcomers who are still figuring things out. Remember Cassie? Yeah, he signed her, then started chasing after her, all while being in a relationship with Kim Porter. And it didn't stop there, because he ended up getting physical with Cassie. The things she revealed in her lawsuit were just insane, like the part where she said that Diddy SA'd Miss Ventura in her own home after she tried to leave him, often punched, kicked, stomped on Miss Ventura, resulting in bruised, burst lips, black eyes, and bleeding. Forced Miss Ventura to engage in intimate acts with male SWs while getting off on it and filming the encounters, demanding that Miss Ventura to carry his in her purse just to make her uncomfortable and demonstrate how dangerous he is, and introduced Miss Ventura to a lifestyle of excessive alcohol and substance abuse, and required her to procure illicit prescriptions to satisfy his own addictions. So while he didn't put hands on Justin or Usher, they had it as bad as Cassie did, especially Usher, allegedly. You know how Cassie said that he held her career over her head every time she tried to leave? The lawsuit said Miss Ventura left her home in Comstock and went to hide away at a friend's house in Florida. James Cruz, president of Bad Boy Management, tracked Miss Ventura down and told her that her single would not be released if she did not answer Mr. Combs' phone calls. A woman who worked at Sony Music reached out to her with a similar ultimatum concerning her record. Incredibly, Mr. Combs even convinced one of his attorneys to call Miss Ventura at this time. This lawyer told Miss Ventura that it's in your best interest to call Mr. Combs back. Each time Miss Ventura tried to run away, Mr. Combs and his powerful network would force her back to him. Well, allegedly, that's the same thing that Diddy did here. You see, Justin was new to the industry at the time, and there were reports that Diddy held his career over his head. Well, allegedly, he did the same thing to Usher, and in Usher's case, it was even worse because Usher literally lived with Diddy for years. According to reports, he allegedly held Usher's career over his head and forced him into an intimate relationship. Usher had no choice because he was only 13 years old at the time, and he was desperate to save his career. Now, Usher had been signed by L.A. Reid, who was one of Diddy's closest friends when he was just a child. But Usher hit puberty, his voice started to crack, and he lost his cute little baby face. L.A. Reid was going to drop him from the label, but Usher begged and finally got Reid to not drop him. Reid then decided to send Usher to live with his friend Diddy in New York. The idea was for Diddy to teach Usher the ropes of the industry and help him grow as an artist. But this was a bad idea from the start because in all that stuff that a 13-year-old should have never been introduced to. But as it turns out, the partying was the least concerning thing that was going on over at Puffy Camp, because there was so much much more that Usher was allegedly getting exposed to. I mean, have you ever wondered why he hates talking about his time with Diddy? He rarely talks about it, and he looks uncomfortable every single time. There was even that interview that he did with Howard Stern, and the things he said were immediate red flags.
It was like just filled with chicks and orgying like nonstop, right?
Nah, not really. I mean, but hey, it was curious. I got a chance to see some things.
Yeah, but you were 13. What were you seeing?
I went there to see the lifestyle,
right?
And I saw it, and it was, but I don't know if I could indulge and understand what I was even looking at. It was pretty wild. Is that there were very curious things taking place, and I didn't necessarily understand it.
Now, just so you know how bad it was, Usher vowed that he would never let his own kids do the same thing.
Would you ever send your kid to Puffy camp?
Hell no.
He then claimed that Diddy forced him to hide what he was going through from his parents.
And your parents were
Mary
okay?
J. Blige, they didn't know nothing about this.
Oh.
There's also this interview where he hinted that Diddy used to essay him, but he didn't exactly come out and say it outrightly, but he made it kind of obvious. The interviewer wrote, Usher became surprisingly restrained. I want to save some stuff from my book one day, he said. I'll put it this way, there was a lot of sex. Then there's this video where Diddy slipped up and said that he and Usher used to sleep in the same bed.
That's my brother right here from day one. We used to wake up, and back in the days when he was like 10 and I was a little bit older, his older brother, we used to fight over the frosted flakes.
Or this time when he said this.
This ain't for nobody else but you. You take that time, boy. I see you. Fly ass doing Vegas. Fuck you in the kitchen. Eating all my cereal.
Yeah, y'all, it's getting pretty nasty, but it gets worse. Because according to Gene, there were allegedly even more young boys, not only Usher and Justin. And the worst part about this is that a lot of people in the industry knew, but they turned a blind eye to it.
All these stories has been around the industry for a long time. All these industry people know that Diddy been acting like this and doing this and try to engage other men into sexual acts with him. There was story that he was trying to get Chris Brown. There's stories about, those young boys that he had, a group B5 or something like that, trying to get them.
It's really all just crazy, and it goes to show how messed up the industry really is. They watched this happen, and now he has been exposed, and they are avoiding him. They don't want to be associated with him. He's even getting banned from the Grammys, and according to reports, several Academy officials are pushing to remove the billionaire superstar from the Grammy guest list. The formal invitations go out this month. There's conflict at the Academy as several voting members do not think it would be appropriate to invite Diddy. Some, including several high-profile African-American members, fear that inviting him sends the wrong message to audience and the charities it supports. Several publicists have asked that their artists aren't seated by him. It's a logistic nightmare. Fans are horrified by these revelations, and they left comments saying, I swear the next doc they're going to make is Surviving Diddy. That dude is creepy as F, and nobody talks about it. Usher and Justin Bieber, dude. Something ain't right. What we get to know is pretty scandalous and bad, but imagine the whole story in truthful entirety. I can't even imagine. And this person thinks that Hollywood elites are trying to take Diddy out, and they said, from the looks and sounds of things, something is going to happen to this man. Some very powerful people are going to make this man disappear. He doesn't seem to have the same protection he's had all these years. Let's be real, jail could actually save his life. Regardless, as a whole, these industry men are disgusting and deserve whatever's coming to them. Y'all, this situation is crazy. But do you think that Usher and Justin could ever testify against Diddy? Or do you think that they're just going to pretend like nothing ever happened? Drop your thoughts and comments below.